Hey, what's up, folks? It's Juno here. I want to talk to you a bit about evolving as a person and trying to ascend a little bit from whatever things are holding you back and achieve something, especially in the face of other people when they're being judgmental or they're saying critical things. And I want to point out how obviously the other people don't really matter. Like, embarrassment kind of is nonsense, really. Like, you're just doing it for you. But equally, how it has a very profound effect on us, and it's difficult to ignore. And one of the things I've noticed is I've tried to make more of myself and find fulfillment in the things I do and in the person I am. I've noticed how a lot of the criticisms for the past seem to get inverted. So often when I was in my 20s and I was younger, I wasn't that ambitious. I just wanted a relatively life of complacency and sort of, mid-wit, intellect, sort of deep thought, I guess, consideration. I wanted to spend a lot of my time thinking about things that I enjoyed and liked, and have these interests and hobbies. But my early 20s, I really didn't spend a lot of time in relationships. I just felt no drive at all to be with anyone. Maybe that was part due to the online environment being so supportive of not getting in a relationship. But equally, I didn't have a lot of career motivation either. I didn't feel like being wealthy was what I wanted. Like accruing physical wealth, fiscal wealth was financial wealth was something I wanted. But what I've realized is, as I'm now in my early 30s and I've noticed that, all right, now I do maybe want some of these things, or I'm starting to understand the value of some of these things a bit more, how people have really changed their criticism of me. So it's not that, this is an important thing to learn about criticism. Criticism's only half to do with about what's going on with you. It's usually a lot to do with what's going on with the other person. Like, the other person maybe just feels insecure in themselves or not, fulfilled, and it's a comparative thing that by pointing out to you or trying to point out to you, identify to you these prospective ways in which you're not a complete individual or achieving something, that's an excuse essentially for them not to feel bad about themselves. Equally, it can just be a kind of jab, like they're just looking for anything because they want that little aggression. But also, what I've noticed is, as I have kind of worked on these things only for my own purposes, not because of any outside influence, maybe the reverse psychology of it is that when people do begin to criticize you for these things, you begin to invest in them as your identity and say, actually, yeah, that is what I am, and I'm fine with it. And then they double down the criticism because you've perceived they're trying to influence you, so you don't allow it to influence you. You do more of it. You do more of the thing they're criticizing because you think it's having an effect on them. And you won't be told what to do, right? It's just being ridiculously rebellious. But it's ridiculously rebellious in the reason you're doing it is because somebody else is doing that. But also it's kind of understandable given that they are trying to manipulate you in some way. So, it is, if they're going to be hostile towards you, why should you listen to their advice? Why should it? And the truth is, the older you get, and as you change and maybe for your own reasons develop those things so they're no longer able to criticize them, the criticism just mutates. It just changes. It'll even change to be the opposite of what it used to be. And I've definitely found this. Now I feel more masculine, and now I'm more willing to assert myself, not just to have fun, not just to, do what I want and not care, but also to attain the things I want or defend positions that are related to me, that form some of my identity. People have a real negative reaction to it. They go positively anaphylactic when you, if you weren't assertive and ambitious enough, now you're too ambitious. Now your ambition is, here's the thing I think part of it is they felt that criticizing you gave them some level of superiority and therefore dominance. But when you begin to invert that and dominate over them, now that's threatening to them and you're being too dominant and they don't like it. So while at one point it was an easy character flaw to pinpoint and to criticize, now it's a threat, actually. Now it's a real threat that you are being more independent and you're not caring so much what they think or even acknowledging them at all, because all they offered you when you did acknowledge them was degradation. Like, they never offered anything positive. So it kind of begs the question, why did you ever acknowledge them in the first place? But the fact that the role has changed is the disturbing part for them. They are uncomfortable with that. So let's say you grew up as a joker and an unserious person. When you become serious, that type of paradigm change is not comfortable for them because that's not how things are supposed to be, right? That's not the assigned order. You're not allowed to do that. But if you just persist in it, they'll become upset with you and try to destroy the relationship. It's really weird to say that, destroy the relationship. The relationship's really destroyed. They haven't realized it yet. There are a lot of relationships that exist that are counterproductive for one of the persons in them. Like, they're almost parasitic. But as long as the relationship is stable, both parties appear to think it's a healthy one. But then when things are actually equaled out and it becomes symbiotic, or even it reverses the parasitism, though let's take the symbiotic example to begin with, that's now seen as unfair by the party that was previously receiving a better end of the deal. Now it seems unfair because it's a departure from the previous status quo. It's a worse deal for them, therefore they don't like it. Understandable, but not unfair. All right, it's not unfair that that's a better deal now, that it's a fairer deal. That's not unfair, it's just upsetting for them. And I think that's so important to remember whenever there's a social element to something. Understanding people's viewpoints is one thing, but being wrapped up at all in their opinion or in their approval is very dangerous, because they will always approve of things that help them even at your detriment. All right, their benefit, your detriment, they approve. That does not equal you should want their approval. Remember that. So if you are developing as an individual, if you're understanding yourself more, believing in yourself, and I don't mean that in sort of this harken motivational way, I mean it in a genuine know thyself, know thy enemy situation, where you begin to find your feet in the world and don't just function as a unit, but actually exist as a person with a defined will, with things that you're prepared to go for and things you're prepared to stand on, and understand why you do it and what it is. That will then become a threat to some people, because they will always desire the more parasitic relationship of you. And so they will begin to disapprove. It's easy for them to criticize when you're not being ambitious and independent, but when you do start doing it and it's not a good relationship for them anymore because they can no longer impose their will at will, now that's the focus of the criticism. All right, now that's where the disapproval is coming in. Even if it's literally what they were criticizing you for not having before, and now you have it, now they realize it's a detriment to them, they then begin to criticize it again. All right, the inverse of it is what's being criticized. So just be mindful of that. Be mindful that not all progress in yourself personally will meet with outside approval. Some of it will meet with strong disapproval, even though it's the right thing to do, and it may even be better for everyone in the long term, but in the short term, it's not what they want, because they don't see the benefit or because they lose some immediate benefit for themselves. And I know this goes back to the conversation I had the other day, but for anyone who missed it, it was this example of the guy at the party who is he's invited to a party by his spouse. He doesn't know anyone who's going to be there, but he's given guarantees from her that, you'll be included, you'll be engaged, it will be fun for you, we'll make sure you have a good time. And then shortly after they arrive, he's asked to stay with the coats and bags at the table while other people go and mingle and socialize, and he's sort of on his own. And after he, in the first instance, overlooks it, after a while, when it persists, he rejects it. He sets a boundary and says, I asked you not to do this. It has transpired that this has happened. I'm not going to accept it. And then he just leaves the coats and bags. He just leaves them. He does tell them before he goes, so it's not like they're unaware and then there's a situation with people not being informed. But in the immediate instance, that declaration probably met with quite a bit of disapproval, like, you're ruining our fun, why don't you just stick with this stuff so we can do what we want? But overall, it's a better situation for everyone, because realistically, nobody wants a kind of wet fop loser in the group. I mean, it's convenient to have one around as a lackey, but you want the group to be filled with strong and independent-minded and contributing individuals, people who are adding on and not just coasting. And the lackey is kind of a coaster. Like, he is just servile and not contributing to the strength of the group. So, in fact, it is better, even though it's in the immediate, not something they see as advantageous, even somewhat an inconvenience, right? Now he's become an inconvenience that he's not doing what we want. But in the long run, that woman doesn't want a spouse who's going to be like that. She does want the stronger guy who's more assertive, more self-assured, and he wants to go out and socialize and have fun, right? That is what she's going to want. And it's important to remember that. It was an important life lesson, I'm not going to lie. It came from somebody I didn't particularly like, but after they gave me that was the best thing they ever gave me. And I respect that, you know. I respect that. You don't just learn from the people you like. Learn from even the ones you don't like. There are guys that I used to compete with for girls who sometimes got the girl and I didn't. But I would then learn. What is it they did? What strategy did they use? What did they display that I perhaps have but don't know how to articulate or display for other people? And then, I mean, because that's kind of the test of it. If you can display it, chances are you have some element of it. But if you don't know how to display it, if you don't know how to show those colors, no one's going to know. No one's going to see it. So, yeah, once you learn that and you see the way it's done, then you're able to do it. There's so much in your mind and in your body that you can do that until you're shown how to do, you don't know. And it's just a matter of that discovery. All right, but it is there. A lot of guys got a strong hand and could build something, but until they're shown how to use a hammer or a saw or something, maybe they just don't understand the route to get there. But they're totally capable of doing it. We can all walk that path. We just need to know which direction to go in. And getting shown the direction or seeing other people do it and then understanding the direction, taking it from there, a lot of us can do that. And we shouldn't be put off. And you will be. From time to time, walking that line is going to make people not like it. Especially if you're walking away from them. All right, you're not so close to them. They can't then depend or rely on you for the little things that they want as conveniences in their lives. But you need to go and have your own life. And if you spend your whole life just appeasing people and being their convenience, what are you going to have to show for it in the end, really? So don't worry about not being liked. All right, be conscious, understand how to mold public opinion and how to win some praise, how to impress, understand how to do it, but don't become a slave to the praise. In fact, some people, the best ones, will really appreciate it when you do things that they don't praise, but have the conviction to do and to stick with. And I watched On the Waterfront tonight, and I've only seen bits of the film before, but I really, really enjoyed it. For some reason, the pigeons thing really got to me. The pigeons, I really appreciate the pigeons. Maybe I'm a chicken keeper, the pigeon keeping, maybe there's a bit of overlap, I don't know. But after his brother gets killed, I'm sorry to spoil it, but you should have seen it by now. After his brother gets killed, and he finally decides he wants to hold the Union guys to account. And everybody hates him for it, because even though the brother got killed, that's supposed to be acceptable. Right? They're just like, well, you should just accept it because the Union is helping us out, and it's the better way is to not cause trouble. You're causing trouble for everyone and making it more difficult for everyone. You're basically going against the Union. The Union is us. But he realizes that, no, it doesn't matter. It's the right thing to do, and I won't be dissuaded by being hated. I mean, this is the thing. It's not hard doing the right thing. It's hard living with it afterwards. Doing the right thing it's so easy. It's so natural. But taking the social flack, taking the hit to your bank balance, taking just suffering doing the right thing, that's the sacrifice. All right, it's a sacrifice to do the right thing. So when you see people out there, you know, proclaiming how great they are and making examples and humble bragging or whatever, just ask yourself, would they really be doing these things if they didn't get any support for it or approval? Okay, and then look at the people who get no approval, who are hated, and ask yourself, what if they're the ones really doing the good stuff? All right, what if this is on the waterfront and we're all in the Union and we all hate these guys, we hate this guy because he's actually doing the right thing, but it's inconveniencing us. It's going to make we think it's going to make things worse, but we know in our hearts it's the right thing. All right. If you haven't seen On the Waterfront, I highly recommend it. It's a great film. Even the acting in it good. Rod Steiger's in it. I love him. He was so good. All right, I won't go. Huge Rod Steiger fan. I think he's fantastic. And I think his acting is incredible. It is a great film. And the message is timeless, really. Even that walk near the end, that with the priest, the Christ walk, I like to call it. It is Stations of the Cross. He falls and yeah. All right. Thanks very much for listening, guys. Stay strong. See you around.